Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Club on Tony. Angelina Jolie says she cries in the shower so her kids won't see it.
Tony Kornheiser, I know. It gets awkward in there sometimes.
Oh, yeah, because you're in the shower.
Yeah, well, that would be the point, wouldn't
sure.
it?
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie.
Uh-huh.
That
I'm
was,
not
do you remember, what's the name of that movie that was so good about the news business? Broadcast news.
Broadcast news?
The producer in that used to cry for 5 minutes at her desk and then get it all out of her system.
You're going old.
Broadcast news, that was a great movie. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Cam Newton is changing his game. Mayweather and McGregor will be available in movie theaters. And we will talk about the trade deadline with Pedro Martinez.
Pedro.
But we begin today with Cavs management finally talking publicly about Kyrie Irving's trade request. At a press conference to introduce new general manager Kobe Altman, owner Dan Gilbert said the situation is, quote, fluid, unquote. But at this point, he expects Irving to report to camp. Well, Bon, we watched this. What was your takeaway from what you saw?
That they have as much idea about what is going to happen as we do. They have no idea. Somebody's going to call them and try to wow them with an offer to get Kyrie Irving. And they will listen. I didn't say they will trade him. They will listen. They have to listen. Kyrie has said, you know, I want to go. And even if he hadn't said that, they had put Kyrie out there and talked to other teams. That's why Kyrie went in and was so upset in the first place. So you're going to listen. You're going to try to make your team better so you can stay ahead of the Celtics and so that you can try and catch Golden State. And that's how you do it. Kyrie's the tradable piece, not LeBron. So it wasn't anything new to take away from it, really.
Here, so I watched this thing, and Dan Gilbert introduces everybody on the payroll
in upper
management.
You know why?
Well, tell us your theory.
Because he wants to say, hey, world, David Griffin did do all the work here. The guy I let go. The reason I don't have Chris Paul or Paul George or Jimmy Butler. We got these other guys, too.
So he introduces everybody, and then you get to questions, and the first 10,000 questions are about Kyrie Irving, as they should be.
Of course.
And at no point, this is my takeaway, at no point did they deny either that Kyrie Irving had asked to be traded or that they were going to trade him.
Because they might.
You can use the word fluid all you want. What that means is we're listening, and we will trade him if it behooves our situation
it makes sense for us.
to do so.
Sure.
I think they will trade him because there were no denials. It's important. And by the way, LeBron's name not mentioned in the first 35 minutes of that. Later on, not in the first 35.
Let's go back. You see Gilbert sitting there. I mean, he's an authoritative figure, except when he has to back down the second time around to LeBron, which made me very happy. Do you think he will, with Kobe Altman sort of doing the detail work, trade Kyrie? Will trade him?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was struck by the fact that two things were, we've got a great team. Okay,
no,
you can say that all you want. No, you will trade him because you never said, and we're not trading. You can talk about Kyrie Irving reporting to training camp all you want. A lot of time to training camp. They're going to trade him. They're going to trade him.
Okay, all right.
Don't you think?
I think that they could sort of smooth it if they want to. If Kyrie and LeBron want to smooth it, if they want to hug it out and come in one day and say, we hugged it out. We're back.
They did not deny that Kyrie Irving walked in there and said, get me out of here. I don't want to play with him anymore.
I got to ask him, but I think this is, did you think Scottie Pippen asked to be traded at some point, got tired of Michael lording over him? And how long did they keep playing
Well,
together?
if he did, he's an idiot. Because Michael Jordan was the greatest player out there.
But you think he didn't say to Reinsdorf some days, get me out of here? And they just smooth it over. There's no social media then. You just get past it then. These guys can get past it if they want to. I'm just saying. Tony, you're in such a good mood.
Pollyanna approach to the world.
Such a good mood you were in. I'm going to try to sneak this one past him. Let's talk Carmelo.
No.
Yes.
No.
Varied and continuous reports out of New York say Melo is proceeding with the notion that the Knicks are still going to trade him to the Rockets this summer. That's his top priority, even ahead of Cleveland. Trading him to Houston or anywhere isn't necessarily a Knicks priority, but I digress. Tony, where would Melo have a better chance of actually winning a championship? Cleveland, Houston, or anywhere else?
You know, I mean, I have no idea how Carmelo makes decisions. I think he's made a series of bad decisions in his professional life, staying with the Knicks when he did. I thought it was a really bad decision. And I think he's going to make another bad decision if he wants to go to Houston. Because Houston has two things that don't work for Carmelo. One, he's already played for the coach, Mike D'Antoni, and that doesn't work for Carmelo. More importantly, they have two ball-dominant guards. They've got Chris Paul and James Harden. And we sat here and we wondered, well, how is that going to work?
How are those two going to
play together? So how is a ball-dominant small forward going to work? To me, if you have the opportunity, and I said this about Derrick Rose, I'm going to say it about Carmelo, if you have the opportunity to play next to LeBron James, who is the, this is why I think Kyrie Irving's crazy, because he's the best player in all of basketball. And you know what? You know why you want to play with him? Because he goes to the finals every single year. Yeah. So to me, you go to Cleveland. How about you?
Cleveland. I don't think that was necessarily the case for Derrick Rose, who has to share because he's behind somebody if Kyrie winds up there.
Well, that's your...
Okay, but
okay.
Carmelo doesn't wind up behind anybody. No. He winds up playing with LeBron James. And look, they know how to play together. They've done this on Olympic and national teams. They've talked about wanting to play together. If I'm Carmelo, what? Houston, what?
I want to make another point about this. James Harden has a lot of assists this past year, but he's got the ball in his hand for a lot of time. Yeah. LeBron James likes to pass the ball. He likes Carmelo a lot personally. He does. He's going to give him the ball and put him in the best situation.
Bucket list items was to play with who? So, Carmelo,
Chris Paul, and
Chris Paul. By the way, and once again, let me say this. I'm sure all the guys in Cleveland in the front office, as they say, the back, are fine at what they do. I know they are. They're great at what they do. If David Griffin had been there, then probably so would Chris Paul or Paul George or Carmelo already or someone else. So Dan Gilbert, he don't want to take accountability for that, but that would have happened.
When Carmelo says,
he can still go there. Carmelo
but it makes no sense to go to Houston.
No, to Cleveland.
The Phoenix Suns, another one of your hometown teams,
I love the Suns,
have told their first-round draft pick and the number 4 pick overall, Josh Jackson, that they will not include him in any potential trade with Cleveland to get Kyrie Irving. Wilbon, does this make sense to you?
If I'm Phoenix, I'm not trading Josh Jackson. There are people, Jerry West among them, who thought that Josh Jackson was the best player in this draft, even if he went 4th to Phoenix. Eric Bledsoe, Devin Booker, and Josh Jackson is potentially dynamic. I'm not going to say it's a big three. I'm not going to say it's a young super team. But it's potentially dynamic. Devin Booker is already dynamic. You put him on the wing with Josh Jackson and Eric Bledsoe, a point guard who can do a lot of stuff, and even a backup like Tyler Ulis, and you got T.J. Warren. The Suns, like Philly, except without the hype and the 2-year redshirt program, actually seem to be doing something. And I'm not trading to get Kyrie if I got to give up Josh Jackson.
This is very interesting to me because sometimes on this show we struggle to yell at each other. And we agree with everything we said. We just yell at each other. Right. I could not possibly disagree with you more.
Because you only care about stars.
Josh
and you
Jackson.
Seen
well,
Devin Booker
can I just finish?
I
saw him playing college. I saw him score a million points.
You haven't seen him play.
Now, you have in Josh Jackson someone who has not taken a snap in this league. He's not had a down in this league. Not at all. He's been at Kansas for 1 year.
I'm betting on him.
Kyrie Irving is an all-star in this league, in the NBA. He's the best ball handler in this league, the NBA. He's an Olympian. I couldn't wait to trade Josh Jackson and get Kyrie Irving. I could not wait to do that.
They got point guards.
I would send a car
then you got to get rid of Bledsoe. What are you going to do? You got Devin Booker, a guy who scored 70 points on the team. No,
you keep one of those guys, and then you go assemble more people. How many times Phoenix made the playoffs in the last few years?
Kyrie.
0 would be the answer.
How many times they make it with Kyrie as the best player on the damn team?
Well, he's been to 3 straight finals.
Let me try to ask you the question again, witness.
Yes.
When Kyrie Irving was the man, how'd they do?
Cleveland did badly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What? So what?
I'm done with this witness. I'm done now with this witness. That's the answer. 22-60 repeatedly.
That's right. That's right. How did Phoenix
when he's playing next to LeBron, he's great. Not so much otherwise.
Josh Jackson has been at Kansas.
Okay, I'm betting on him.
Okay, go. That's your bet.
I'm betting on him.
That's your bet.
Enough basketball. Let's talk NFL training camp. You like that?
I do.
Specifically the Carolina Panthers and Cam Newton.
So I'm back in the chair as another witness?
Yeah, go ahead. Different hat. Different box. Different judge.
Good.
Word out of Charlotte is the Panthers are about to transition out of the deep passing game and quarterback runs, which highlighted Newton's phenomenal physicality and led the Panthers to a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and into a less risky offensive approach featuring a shorter passing game and much less unprotected running. Tone, question is, was it that daring part of Newton's talent which made him and therefore the Panthers special?
My first thought is that Cam Newton, without Cam Newton, the Carolina Panthers are nothing. They're irrelevant. They're 0. They can't win any game. So you must protect him. You must keep him healthy. So I understand that you don't want him to drop back for 25 seconds and get hit because he gets hit all the time. Him and Roethlisberger get hit more than anybody. And you don't want him running the ball all the time because I think in his first 6 seasons he has run more than any quarterback in history. So you don't want that. Yeah. But you know what I would do first before I revamp the offense completely? I go get some offensive linemen. This is what I would tell the people in Indianapolis. You got a big, strong quarterback in Andrew Luck, and he's getting killed. Why don't you get some offensive linemen?
Agreed, Tony. That's the first thing you got to do. But in the absence of that, even if you get the linemen, it's time to stop with the flashiness. You had that. You know, John Elway did things his first 3, 4, 5 years in the league you'd never seen before, and then you say, stop. We want John Elway to actually win something, not lose Super Bowls 55
Although
to 10.
there was that one Super Bowl when he went airborne.
Yeah, but that's when his career's over. Okay. And he knows if he doesn't even get up, it's fine because he's still going to the Hall of Fame. You've seen enough highlight plays from Cam Newton. Now you want to protect him. You want to do something that's smarter. You want to do something that's going to leave him out there 99% of the plays. Yeah, what did Peyton Manning do every single year of his life except the year he couldn't play at all? He played. He's out there every snap. He wouldn't even let a guy take practice snaps.
So maybe this means that if you draft Christian McCaffrey, you design a whole bunch of offensive things to get the ball in his hands quickly. But you are taking away what Cam Newton does best, which is throw it deep.
Okay, but you know, Tony, but if he can't be upright,
I understand. You don't have to have a ticket in Las Vegas to watch the Mayweather-McGregor fight, or the McConnor fight, as Tyson would say. And you don't have to order it at home to watch it. I don't even have to go to Wilbon's. This fight is going old school.
I got plans.
It will be available in large theaters for the bargain price of $40 a person, which was the original concept of how people watched big fights in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and into the early 90s. Wilbon, is this a good viewing option for the average fight fan?
No, you're going to want to come to my house. Just the entertainment package alone, which we won't get into now. I remember going with my dad to watch, to me, the greatest fight of the century, which was Ali Frazier 1, Madison Square Garden. And just the nervousness. And you sit there with 250, 300, 500 other people, maybe 1,000, depending on how big a theater you were in. And that's the way we consumed it, right up through Tyson Spinks, which was another closed-circuit theater fight, Capitol Center, for those of us. You don't need that now. You get 4 guys, and you say $99. You don't. Why pay 40? You pay 20. Nobody's watching it alone. I got an 80-inch screen,
I don't have to pay if I go to your house.
No,
right? You're not going to have a cash bar?
It's all on me. Well, the cash bar I'm still considering. You're not going to do this.
So 1,000,000 years ago, I went with my friend Lloyd and Lloyd's father to the Island Garden in West Hempstead on Long Island.
What'd you see, Ali?
Well, it was Ali Liston 2 in Lewiston, Maine. That lasted 2:12 of the first. 90% of the crowd.
Were you in your seat?
I was in my seat. 90% of the crowd was not in its seat. Okay, and there's a phantom punch that nobody has seen to this day. Now, at that point, maybe you booed a little bit and maybe you yelled and you picked yourself up, you got in your car and you went home. Today, there's a melee. Okay, I won't go to this because I'd be afraid because people are so uncivil now. And people are drunk out of their minds now. And if you have a fight like this that plays right to the edge of warfare between people.
You've also got themes. You've got themes of race, of boxing versus MMA. You got all kinds of potential. But you know what? It'd be kind of fun to sort of sit and be able to run right out the door. So
you got to run quick. Let's take a break. Coming up, we're going to ask Pedro Martinez which of the top starters he would want to trade for.
And we'll also ask him what advice he has for David Price as he battles some in the Boston media, mostly Dennis Eckersley.
I think if this is a bad fight and people go crazy, there's melees all over America.
I got security.
I mean,
I got entertainment and
smoking. Baseball's trade deadline is just days away. Pitchers are at the center of so many rumors, so it's a good time to bring in one of the great pitchers in baseball history from the MLB Network, Pedro Martinez. Pedro, let us start with this. Bob Nightingale reports that the Cubs are the team that's most interested in Justin Verlander. But let's pretend you're the general manager somewhere. Which pitcher would you trade for the rest of this season among Justin Verlander, Yu Darvish, or Sonny Gray? Which one do you want?
Well, first of all, you know, if I don't have any money issues, I'll probably say Verlander because of the pedigree, the experience. He's a guy that's been there, has done that, has been to the World Series. Based on his experience, I think I'll lean towards Verlander, even though I like Yu Darvish as well. Great stuff. Sonny Gray for the future is great. But I have to go Verlander.
Nobody knows more about pitching and having success in Boston than you do. And I'm sure you've been following this David Price story where he's had some trouble with the Boston media, particularly Dennis Eckersley, who knows a lot about pitching in a lot of places. If you were advising David Price, what would you tell him?
I would just probably simplify things. I'll get rid of whatever comment the media has to make. I'll be strictly honest to the media. I will say, hey, this is what I'm going to do with you. Whenever I pitch, I'm going to give you an honest and professional answer. And then after that, my private life goes away. I'm not really going to pay attention to the media. I will center my attention towards my pitching, my clubhouse, my teammates. And I wouldn't bother really looking at the comments or what other people have to do. My concern is really what I can do for my team, honoring my salary, and actually what I do between the white lines. And those are the things that I will probably be answering after the game, not any other questions.
This is so interesting because you were a pitcher who is now an analyst. And I don't know how you viewed the media when you were a pitcher, but now that you're an analyst, do you appreciate analysis more now than maybe you used to?
I certainly do, and I have a lot more respect for, for you guys and for what you do. I know everybody has a job. Sometimes I saw some of the guys like enemies, guys like Chanosy that wanted to dig and get you to say the wrong thing to then feast on it. But then after getting to this kind of work, I realized that it's your skin on the line. It's your credibility on the line. I think it's your responsibility to be accountable for the things that you say in front of the cameras. When you're dealing with the TV and the social media, you're accountable for everything you say. You really need to know what you do and how you do it without hurting anybody's feeling and at the same time trying to be professional. So I respect it a lot more. But I without a doubt, there were some reporters that really, meant bad towards you and meant to get the wrong quote sometimes in order for them to have a feast and make it news and be the impact news in some of your comments. And I could sense it most of the time, but most of the time I'll give you a straight, honest answer, and they were happy with that and they respect that. So I got along okay with the media.
If you had to pick two teams right now to go to the World Series, which two would they be?
Well, right now, you have to say the Houston Astros have to be in it. And also the Dodgers with the best record in the National League. Those are two teams that are right there. But without a doubt, I wouldn't take away the Cubs and probably the Red Sox right there.
Thank you so much, Pedro. It's a great pleasure for us.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
You can watch Sunday's Hall of Fame ceremony exclusively on the MLB Network. Let's take one last break, but still to come, Novak Djokovic shuts it down for the rest of the season. Will this help him get back on top?
And will the U.S. national team top Jamaica tonight in the Gold Cup final?
When Pedro says he drills somebody,
that's great.
That's the best.
Great.
That's the
I watch
best.
Pedro every night.
Yeah, you watch the network.
Every night.
Yeah.
They're great to watch.
Changing your oil after?
Happy time, people. Happy belated 27th birthday to Zach Bornstein.
Who's that?
Bornstein plays right field for the Reno Aces in AAA.
Oh.
Watch him going back to the warning track
Oh, this kid last night.
on what looks like a routine deep fly.
Watch this.
Watch the ball bounce over the wall into the bullpen for a home run. The announcer says it's off his glove,
No.
but reasonable men think of Jose Canseco immediately, and they wonder if it bounced off his head.
Okay, it bounces off his dome, and he's like
Happy
10
birthday.
feet short of the warning track.
Yeah.
This wasn't just barely over. This is like a 30-foot bounce.
Happy anniversary, Larry Holmes. Around this day 15 years
Holmes.
ago, you defeated tough man legend
Look at
Butterbean
that. Come on.
in your final boxing match.
Come on.
Holmes ended up fighting 75 pro fights over a span of 29 years.
Come on.
At one point, he was 48-0, one short of Rocky Marciano's record, and Holmes wanted to be considered in that company.
If Holmes had stopped fighting earlier, do you think he could have been like George Foreman and had a grill or something?
Sure.
Before he turned into something. I mean, Larry Holmes was so great
He was.
after Ali.
The Eastern Assassin?
Yes.
Happy trails, Novak Djokovic. Djokovic declared himself out of the U.S. Open and on extended rest for the remainder of the year.
Say it ain't so.
Djokovic has been experiencing elbow pain on his serves and recently his forehand shots, which is called tennis elbow.
Yeah, it is.
In Djokovic's absence, Roger Federer stands there ready to win his third major of the year.
Some young buck is going to come along and knock the old guys off, don't you think?
Maybe not this year,
reduces
though.
the U.S. Open.
2 omissions. Former heavyweight champ Tyson Fury announced his retirement on Instagram, and the Jets claimed your boy Lucky Whitehead off waivers. Let's go quickly to the big finish.
Let's do it.
Katie Ledecky lost in the 200-meter freestyle at the Worlds. You're surprised?
Yeah, Italy's Federica Pellegrini is the one. She's the world record holder. She's the one sort of rival. Jim Harbaugh wore khakis and a sweatshirt to Big Ten media. They probably had that block him. Okay by you?
Dressed like an adult at some point.
He just looked like Bo Schembechler.
Madison Bumgarner got his first win of the season. You got that wrong.
Happily. They beat the Pirates. That's a division thing with the Cubs. I'm happy about that. Princeton football signed a quarterback in the top 200. You surprised by this?
This is rare for the Ivy League to sign somebody rated. That's not top 200 quarterbacks, top 200 football
Arizona,
players.
Oregon State, Tennessee, all recruited.
You know
this
what I'm
kid.
thinking?
What?
Penn can beat him anyway. Make me happy. Last one, USA versus Jamaica in Gold Cup tonight. Who you got?
This is a big deal. But I got a clicker and you got a clicker.
I'm going to the
Cubs, White Sox, you got Mets. Sorry.
We're out of time. We're trying to do better the next time.
And I'm
Tony Kornheiser.
Boring baseball. These guys are watching old men. I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
Shout out to me. Shot 84 today with 7 pars.
What's up? Is there a witness?
PTI.